Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another one of our live video chats. Today, I am joined by my boss, our president and CEO, Christy Gillenwater, who's going to walk us through what the Chamber's been doing to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic as it's been happening. And as usual, we'll have questions up from the beginning. So if you have them, please go ahead. Feel free to go ahead and put them in the Q&A section. Welcome and thank you for being here, Christy.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Why don't you give us sort of a high-level detail, if you can, about just sort of what the Chamber's been up to over the past month or so?
Sounds good. Hey, thanks, Jeremy. And want to thank everyone who is on this live video chat today. We are so grateful for everything this community and our businesses are doing right now. We know these are such difficult times, and our hearts and prayers go out to each and every one of you. Those of you making difficult decisions about your business, about your family, you know, and added to that here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, the tornadoes that hit late Easter evening and into the next day mornings. It has been just a real trying time. But to me, it just reminds me of the amazing resilience that's part of our DNA here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County. I mean, when challenged, we rise to it. And so just want to say kudos to all of you. You inspire our work, you inspire our team. So I want to lead with that. I also want to lead with, you know, the fact my husband is partners in a restaurant business. So every day I hear about it, I feel what so many of our members are going through. These are not easy times navigating these difficult waters. So what we have tried to focus on as a chamber is creating as many resources as we can for our businesses and collaborating with as many organizations as we can here in the community. So first and foremost, you know, props to our communications and marketing team for completely reorienting our website to be a great resource. I mean, it's amazing when we look at the numbers in terms of, you know, the traction on our website, how many pages people viewed, you know, the last 6 weeks versus, you know, the previous year, right? Y'all are really seeing this as a key resource. And so if you go on to our website at ChattanoogaChamber.com, you'll see a lot of information as you get into it, 4 key categories of information. And we felt that was really critical that we provide a one-stop kind of shop for business-related information. And in the process, we've been, and Jeremy has been very much the keeper of a lot of this and updating the website, but we have been moving this. It's been a very fluid bit of communication for us because we have been talking to members every single day, asking for your input, asking for what kind of information you would like us to share. And so again, fluid, constant updates. I'll tell you, we have reached out to over 1,300 members now, and that was as of several days ago. So I'm sure our numbers are up from there, asking some basic questions. We also have a live survey right now that we partnered with the Federal Reserve Bank on in terms of what questions they would like us to ask. We have supplied those data results, by the way, as an aggregate to the city. To city staff this week as they're making these decisions and thinking through, you know, what kind of stay-at-home policies will continue, what kind of return-to-work policies will we be considering. We'll be sharing that with the county, et cetera. So we really want this data to inform decision makers in the coming weeks and months. We will continue to conduct that survey, probably take a 2-week break and then start again or so is what we've talked about, 2 to 3 weeks, because we think it will be really interesting to have kind of that baseline data from this first round of deep dive survey. And then again, track that as we start to hopefully move out of this current normal in the coming weeks. We, in addition to that website data, we've been very engaged with a number of employers in trying to link companies who have furloughed employees to those who are hiring, not only via our website, but actually like making those connections via email, phone call, etc. But we try to really position our website as a key resource for not only employers, but also employees who have been displaced. And you may have seen some of our 40 billboards, thanks to our partnership with Reagan Outdoor, in terms of promoting that site and that information. We also are providing, hopefully you've seen and receive all of our email updates. So again, a variety of updates that you'll see from us. If you're not receiving our public policy updates, by the way, feel free to reach out to anyone on our team. Justin Graynard on our team leads on crafting those. I think we have about 300 members who receive those on a daily basis, pretty much throughout this COVID challenge. We also provide a number of other related articles, what you need to be thinking about in terms of positioning your organization, getting back to work, decisions as the whole COVID crisis hit us, assisting businesses. And you can go in and again, look at any of those articles on our website. You can go in and see our 20+ live video chats that have had, Jeremy, what is it now? Is it 14,000 views? I think we're over 14,000 views, right?
Yes.
Okay, so over 14,000 views on those live video chats you can see. We've also been very involved in terms of the PPE supply chain. So working not only with hospitals and medical providers, but as we look at returning to work, the amount of PPE supplies that are going to be needed. And a lot of that will depend on our elected officials and what they do and don't require. But obviously, I think we're all pretty aware a lot of masks will be needed. We'll need more hand sanitizer, cleaning supplies. I was talking to a member the other day who has a fogging opportunity where they can come in and fog a business. Every night or however frequently that business wants. I mean, so thinking about those kinds of opportunities, how are we linking different companies who might be able to assist in a certain part of the supply chain needed with others who maybe can make part of the mask, but not all of the mask, those kinds of things to where are those needs, where are the medical grade needs versus more of the public needs. So appreciate our team members who've been involved in that. We also are really excited about our Chattanooga to Go and Go to Chattanooga campaign. So you can find all of that information on our website. Again, Jeremy, Sybil, Eric, and Amanda did a fantastic job crafting that, and definite kudos out to the Johnson Group for their support and that plan, the city and others who have been partners in that. But it's all focused around buying here in our community, right? So what we're doing is we're challenging people to take pictures when they order takeouts or they go and pick up something from a retail establishment, but following social distancing orders, all of those things. When they shop business to business for products, again, could be PPE supplies. Go ahead and try to capture that moment. Someone captured a tip amount that was received in their restaurant. I mean, take a photograph of that and those kinds of things and promote your business. Have your customers promote your business that way. Encourage others to do that, because we really want to showcase the creative ways that we as residents can support our local small businesses and continue that work, not only right now in the to-go side of the campaign, but as we move through the different phases of bringing all of our companies back online, that go-to campaign. So we think that that's going to be really important. So again, you can go on our website, you can see more information on our homepage. If you are not currently listed, you can go ahead and request to be listed as one of the organizations that pop up when people want to participate and look at what their options are in terms of local companies. Okay. We also are continuing a number of collaboration discussions here locally. I'll tell you, we've been very active with the city and even the last 48 hours and looking at and providing feedback on what the what they're considering in terms of return to work policies. I know I was on a call today with Mayor Coppinger, spoke about what the county's leading in. And so we really think it's important to bring the business voice to those discussions, and also to create, as much as we can, a communications clearinghouse and understanding for all of you as it relates to what decisions are being made and how they're affecting your business, because we know it's difficult for you to cut through all of the information that is out there right now. And we appreciate on the survey results a lot of positive feedback in terms of the chamber as a go-to source for your business. And so that is our goal and our aim, and that is why we continue to call on many of you. We continue to ask you to engage with us to make us stronger, so that you can be stronger through that partnership as well. I'll tell you, we're also very involved with the U.S. Chamber. Justin and I are on calls twice a week with them with updates on federal stimulus package support. I know many of you might be following. In fact, right now, here at 2:30 Eastern, the House of Representatives will be taking up the floor vote on the $310 billion latest and greatest stimulus package. And Justin will be providing a live video update tomorrow morning at 10:30, I believe it is, Eastern time. Yes, he is going to be joined by Senator Watson. So we're excited to have Tennessee Senator Watson, our own senator, updating on even what's happening from a Tennessee perspective. But just to break that down for you, and again, much more detail tomorrow from Justin. But of that $310 billion, $50 billion will be used for SBA emergency funds, $10 billion for the EIDL fund. And when I say 50 billion SBA, again, to continue to provide a loan support for businesses, 10 billion for EIDL loans, again, 60 billion for the PPP program, and particularly for small banks. So again, supporting small banks. Again, 50 billion PPP going directly to businesses, 10 billion EIDL, 60 billion to support those really small banks who didn't have as much of a chance to support their clients the first round. And then 75 billion will be going to hospitals. We've all heard the challenges that are not only in our area but beyond. These are challenging times for our hospitals, and we need to support them. 25 billion for additional testing. So that's kind of how the breakdown will work. But again, very involved in federal lobbying efforts, weighing in on the U.S. Chamber and how they're lobbying at the federal level. We've been very involved at the state level as well. And as I talked about locally, trying to be supportive of our local officials who have the daunting task of making these decisions, and really trying to lift up the importance of our economy and our small business community here, but the nuances of that as well. Along those lines, we do convene our largest employers in the area. In fact, the CEOs are convening them tomorrow and talking through not only what are they all doing, but the role that some of their organizations can play in phasing back in the economy. While a number of our members can't operate unless they're physically at their business, right? We do have others who have successfully transitioned to working from home, and they can continue that longer in order to make sure that we're being careful and mindful as we bring our economy back. I know, just looking at our chamber team, I'm so proud of how quickly our team pivoted literally over the weekend, going back, 5.5, almost 6 weeks ago, to working from home. And many other organizations are like that. So we feel a real duty and responsibility to help do our part in terms of the public health piece. And if we're able to do a lot of our work from home longer than some others can, then we need to abide by that and be considerate of that as we think about our own team. So stay tuned for a lot of continued work from us. And I know Jeremy has some questions he would like to pose to me. But again, I can't thank you all enough for your absolutely brilliant work and partnership during this difficult time. Truly, our hearts and prayers go out to all of you. I know we had one team member who had a very dark experience and challenging experience during the tornado. I know I've talked to a number of you and our members who have had 20 people, 2 people, 5 people who lost everything or were without power, sustained significant damage. And I know we've had team members who've been out volunteering on cleanup, and it's so amazing to read the stories and hear the stories about how people really are doing their part. And I know we've been on some calls with national media here lately, and we've been talking about the story about Chattanooga and Chattanooga's real resiliency. We're hopeful that some of these stories will hit some national media about, you know, those mid-sized cities that were growing and really experiencing such strong economic strategies before COVID-19, and how we're positioning ourselves coming out of this. And those have been really eye-opening experiences. And one reporter I spoke to yesterday had talked to a number of businesses here, and they were really just floored about, you know, the resiliency and the hope that they were hearing. But at the same time, you know, some of the real challenges as we shared our economic survey data with them. Which leads me to a couple other things. We are looking at data. What kind of data sets should we be tracking moving forward? Our data research on our team is part of our national association looking at different data sets. We've been very involved in facilitating conversations with some of the other top chambers in the country around, you know, not only the next 3 months, but then the longer term recovery strategy and what that should look like. Obviously, it looks different in every community, but there are some basic frameworks that can be developed that can help inspire that work. We were on a call today with the CEOs of the other and the policy leaders from the 3 other large urban chambers today, talking about what's happening in Memphis, Knoxville, and Nashville. How are we all working together? What are we seeing? And it's just so exciting to see, again, some of these collaborations, because this is something new to all of us, and we're all literally, you know, flying this plane while building it, right, as we come out of this. And so stay tuned for a lot more in the future around recovery strategies. You know, here we came into COVID with a brilliant strategy around Velocity 2040 and thinking really aggressively and hopefully around, you know, our next 20 years in Chattanooga and Hamilton County. We then built Chattanooga Climbs and had amazing financial support, engagement support, and building that process with over 900 people involved in Chattanooga Climbs, over 5,000 people involved in Velocity 2040, over 900 in Chattanooga Climbs, and felt so great about that strategy and the uptake in the community. So now it's, you know, dusting that plan off that really isn't very old and saying, okay, what strategies do we need to rethink now given COVID-19, what testing will look like, what vaccinations will look like in the future, and how that impacts, you know, our next 18 months as an economy here. So know that we're very focused on how to move the community forward. We're partnering with other organizations. There's so many amazing organizations, nonprofits, for-profits, government entities in our community waking up every day thinking about, you know, how can we move our economy forward and how can we partner with others to do so. So Jeremy, anything you wanted to ask?
Sure. Thanks, Christy. I think one thing we want to make sure we hit, you mentioned the website. That's sort of been our central hub. And there are a lot of really good resources there available to folks. You mentioned the Chattanooga To Go campaign.
Yes.
The sort of the centerpiece of that is a custom list of businesses that we've been building, businesses that are offering safe options, whether that's to go, you know, curbside pickup, delivery, whatever. And as you mentioned, if someone wants to be listed there, they can go fill out a quick form and submit it. Membership isn't required to be on that particular list. So why did you feel that it was so important to make sure that we were encouraging people to go out and support those local businesses who are able to offer those safe options?
Great question, Jeremy. And obviously, being a chamber of commerce, we always want to promote buying locally. That's part of our DNA. It's who we are as an organization. But it's just exasperated by this experience that we're in right now with COVID-19. People unsure about whether businesses are open, unsure about whether they have curbside delivery or they can go and pick up, whether it's food, again, retail, B2B type services. And so we wanted to really provide an avenue of clarification of information and really a movement to move people to be more conscious about it, to think about, okay, yes, maybe I don't want to cook tonight and I could buy something online. Or yes, my company, I should be thinking about fogging my business before I reopen my doors. So where can I go? We have a business on there you can look up, probably multiple, but I quickly scanned it yesterday. Those kinds of things. Gosh, you can buy, even if a company isn't open, you can, yesterday was Administrative Professionals Day. If you forgot about it, hey, you can still go out and buy gift cards. So it could even be to, service companies that aren't currently open, but you want to say thank you to a team member or a customer or a colleague or a family member for putting up with you. And go ahead and buy that gift card so that, hey, when that company's open, they can go and support that business. So, as we all know, when you follow a dollar in a community, the cyclical process of it is significant. You going and buying that gift card means that company can pay an employee, that they can pay a supplier who then also employs people, who then spends more dollars in the community. Just the cycle, of what a dollar will do in a local community. So it's a part of who we are. It's a part of Chattanooga. And when you think about those local independent organizations in our community in particular, they're what provide the flavor in our community. And it's so critical that they're still here when we get through this. And so if we can all do our little part in supporting those businesses, it lifts people up. It helps them obviously with revenue projections, their ability to keep employees on staff, because we know so many of these businesses are down significantly. And any little part we can do, we think that's our duty.
Okay. We've also, that dovetails into my next point nicely. There's a lot of confusion out there, right? Around everything, honestly. Anything from applying for the various types of aid that are available right now to confusion over current guidelines, future guidelines. And so that's why we sort of started this video series, is to try and be a source of information for the community. They're also listed on the website, so you can go back and see all the past ones we've recorded. There are some that are highlighting information on how to apply for the PPP loans, various other forms of aid. And we're working on one right now. I don't have a date on that one yet, unfortunately, but we are working on one to help sort of educate people on best practices as we start to reopen things back up. What are you thinking about when you think about what that looks like as we start to come out the other side of this?
Yes, that's a great question, Jeremy, and it's fluid. Like, Cheryl on our team just wrote in some reopening policies for our organization. And one of the things we made sure we articulated is this is fluid. So everything's fluid. In terms of our national resources, one thing that I came across yesterday I really liked was a toolkit for reopening that another chamber had created. And we're very much about R&D in our industry. That's rob and duplicate. And so, so that is something I'm really interested in, having us take a look at. To Jeremy's point, we definitely have the video series. We are also working on a collaboration locally. I know Lynn Chestnut's been featured on a couple of these video chats, Marcus Shaw and some other partners, pulling together some of the business support organizations as we go through this next transition. And so stay tuned. We have made great progress internally, so now we're pulling in those partners to have a deeper conversation about how to execute this plan. So I don't want to get into too much detail today, but we think that will be a live way to really come in, be able to talk to someone, and be able to have some of your questions answered. And so we're excited about moving that partnership forward. And then, like I said, evaluating, would toolkits be helpful to our businesses as they think about reopening? And then, obviously a lot of that is predicated on what, our governor, our city and county mayors decide. So again, all those documentations need to be fluid. Also, definitely thinking about PPE supplies, Jeremy, you just take healthcare workers and the amount of hand sanitizer they're going through a day. Well, what does that look like for someone in a restaurant business or a retailer? And how do you build that consumer confidence level back up? So, and we're having some of these conversations with the city right now. How do we figure that out? So that I feel, a person feels comfortable going into a restaurant, right? What gives them a level of confidence to go into a restaurant and sit down and eat? We need to think about those things, right? And so to going in to see, a service provider that you work with, what kind of consumer confidence, whether it's B2B or B2C, can we help co-create as a community so that people will want to go back to some level of normalcy, right? Is it that masks are going to be required everywhere? What does that look like, and how do we implement? So we're involved in a lot of those conversations right now. I wish I had clearer, conciser answers, but until we have some more clarity, it's hard to figure that out. But just know that literally we are awake every night, cannot sleep, thinking about what else should we be doing for you as members and businesses in the community, and how can we be a vehicle of information for you and resource for you. And again, there's so many great examples out there of how this work is being done in our community and throughout our country. And so we're just trying to be strong partners in all of that work and be who and what you need us to be every day.
Great. And that really is a good point to highlight. I think, we have, you mentioned this briefly, but we have several staff members who are spending a lot of their time just talking to members.
Yes.
And that's how we're making these decisions, correct? We're not doing this in a vacuum. We want to hear from you all out there to determine what you need and what we should be doing next.
Absolutely. Y'all are driving what we're doing. There's 1,300 calls. Some of them have lasted, an hour, right? Some of them a little bit shorter, but we're getting a lot of detail and information and feedback on what we're doing. We've had a lot of positive comments, and we've pivoted in some areas. Like some of these live video chats are because we've had multiple members saying, hey, what about this topic, right? And so we stay in tune with a lot of you, trying to figure out what kind of content you need us to be producing, what kind of resources that you need from us. But absolutely, Jeremy. And then there's the economic survey, the economic impact survey is a way on a larger front for us to help, again, create data that can help inform some of our elected officials as well as our own decision making, as we move forward into a return to work and then a recovery mode as well. But yes, that feedback mechanism is so vitally important to us, and all of our team members have been engaged at different levels of that work of content. As you all know, we have geographic councils. I neglected to mention some of them are having virtual meetings, which is fantastic. We've had virtual networking events I know our first one, I was on our first one. We had over 50 people participate on our first virtual networking event. So again, we're as a team trying to be creative around what kind of networking our members still need, what kind of contacts they still want with other members and businesses, and then delivering as best we can on those.
Okay, thank you, Christy. I think the note I would like to leave things on is reminding folks that, this is our community. We live here. These are our friends and family that we're working with every single day, and we're in this with you guys. And I think I can say with confidence, Christy and the rest of our team feel the same way.
Absolutely, Jeremy. We cannot thank you all every day for waking up and thinking about how you can keep your employees intact, how you can continue to operate your business, how ideally in the future can see through some of these challenging times and move forward with clarity. How you lift up other organizations and you volunteer post tornado despite everything going on with COVID-19, how you support healthcare workers. I mean, our community is amazing. And to your point, we're all in this together. And we just can't thank you enough for everything you're doing.
Okay, thank you, Christy, and thank all of you out there for staying strong and keeping going.
Bye, everyone.